Through this small snippet of his life, we know for sure the reason behind his smile was the immense amount of support given by his family and friends. His brother, Vinay Vinod, a beautiful soul, remained the solid foundation for Vikas to bounce back from his pain and cheer in his triumph. So we take this opportunity to thank you for giving us a chance to bring life to his dreams through this conference.
This evening, we plan to introduce to you 3 distinct tracks on mental health awareness, xMEC, and career guidance sessions. A warm welcome to our principal, Professor Dr. Vinod Thomas, CPO, Srimati Abarna Devi, HOD of the Biomedical Department, Dr. Minimal B, Associate Professor Dr. M.V. Rajesh, who all have been pillars of support for this symposium. Thank you for being with us. It's a great privilege. Finally, a special mention to today's speakers for joining us despite their busy schedule and to the participants without whom this event is meaningless. Before we move on to the sessions, we would like to invite our principal, Dr. Vinod Thomas sir, to deliver a keynote address.
Thank you. So, dear colleagues, dear alumni and dear students who are participating in this meeting, it is very apt that the event Crossroads is held in the memory of our beloved Vikas. My first recollection of Vikas was during an annual sports festival where I think he was part of the Senate, and therefore he was part of the organizing team of that event. A particular event, I think it was a long jump was being conducted, and when the results were declared and when the winners were announced, I think after that Vikas had a try on the long jump itself and on the long jump bit, and it was said that he comfortably outdid all the winners. So that was my first recollection of Vikas while at the college. I remember him as a very handsome, very active, very studious, very punctual boy, and I thought he had a great future that awaited him. Then afterwards, I saw him as an active member of the placement cell. Later, when he was going through his personal battle with cancer, every time I saw him, I would inquire about his health. And invariably, his answer would be that he was quite okay and he was fine. And I was very aware that he was in great discomfort and in great pain. But it never showed on his face, and such was his indomitable spirit. He fought the good battle with cancer all the way. And unfortunately, he is no longer with us. It has given us lots of many pleasant memories of him. I pray that all of you and all of us who are very close to Vikas, in some manner, get the solace and the strength to overcome his loss. Time heals everything, but it leaves scars. Vikas's memory is aptly commemorated by an event organized by the Placement Cell and the Biomedical Association, as this is where he would have spent most of his time at the college. I wish the event Crossroads a great success and congratulate the Placement Cell members and the Biomedical Association for organizing this event very perfectly. So thank you all. I wish the event all success, and I congratulate the organizers once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, we cordially invite Srimati Abarna Devi ma'am, the Training and Placement Officer, to address the audience next.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Respected Principal, HODs, Rajesh sir, Minimal ma'am, other dignitaries, colleagues, and dear students. So, the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in unemployment, underemployment, resulting in several threats to the mental health of the people. And researchers has also shown that the there are increased case of depression, anxiety disorder, etc. And moreover, people are working in isolation, and this has also affected our mental health because man is a social animal. And the COVID warriors, and that is the people who are working in health sector, are experiencing stress and are risking their life. And the key theme of this event, Crossroads, is mental health awareness, career opportunities, etc. And this event is in memory of Sri Vikas Vinod. Dear Vikas, though I don't know you, I can feel how much MEC adore you. MECians really miss you. And what else can we give to a dynamic young biomedical engineer other than Crossroads? They miss you as a friend, a brother. And I would like to congratulate the team for organizing this event and also wishing the event a very grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words. Next, we heartily welcome Dr. M.V. Rajesh sir to share his thoughts.
Good evening, MEC. It's a very special event. And I do remember Vikas has never stranded in any crossroads. He was a very good example of what we are basically trying to discuss today. In the mental health, even at the midst of his worst time of his health, I do remember him as a very active and optimistic TPC volunteer. In between chemos, he was visiting me, not only as a placement officer, but as a senior and an alumnus and as a friend. And he was trying to report on how many examinations he could write neatly, how many events he could coordinate, etc. With, as everybody has mentioned here, a signature smile. I never felt him as a patient who is struggling, but every ambition was on the placement activities, and he was totally dedicated for others. That is what I could recollect on Vikas. When I sit along with you for this program, Crossroads, the another film. So these two handsome guys basically resembles each other in many of their activities and approaches and personality as well. Very good in all activities, very vibrant TPC volunteers, dedicated basically for others. And these persons basically leave a lot of messages for us. I do believe it is not how long that you live that matters, but how long you will be remembered after one is deceased. Or otherwise, the who will cry when you die kind of a situation. In such a respect, I think both Sandeep and Vikas are evergreen memories for MEC, especially for the training and placement cell. This positive attitude, especially in the eve of the pandemic, I know that you have got a very wonderful collage of speakers today, Mr. Babu, then Patara and Ronit, our vibrant alumni members. All this looks very, very meaningful and a great tribute to Vikas. Of course, the very word crossroad for this event is very wisely chosen, I think, because that taught us how to handle situations. Even at the verge of threatening disease to their life, how one should actively spend every moment of his life for others. At the same time, when I do remember about Vikas, one more name is coming into my mind. I would like to mention that. I have never said it anywhere. That is Joseph Matthews, his colleague and chair of the TPC, the then TPC. I was the then placement officer. At a point of time, I came to know that Vikas was actually staying with the Joseph and family in Kochi. What a great gesture of friendship and relationship. It happens in MEC only. And they have given all the support to him as their own child, I think. That's what I understand. I do salute and appreciate Joseph and his parents for that. And I do even remember our interaction with Vinay, his brother, because the alumni was also involved in some of the treatment and coordination kind of activities. Vikas will be remembered forever. There is no doubt for that. And the alumni, I think, will even try to frame a scholarship in memory of him, which we are doing for last few years, which is a very appreciated kind of an activity, which will definitely keep this light and the fond memories evergreen through generations of MEC. And I do personally believe that this is a unique kind of an honor I got, even though I attend a lot of meetings on a daily basis. This looks like a unique honor to be invited as the then training and placement officer. I would like to congratulate both the TPC and the Biomedical Students Association to conceive this great idea. And I'm sure that Vikas is here, there, and every inch of MEC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome Dr. Vinod ma'am, Head of the Biomedical Department, to share her insight with our viewers.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
വികാസിനെ കുറിച്ച് ഇത്രയും കേട്ടപ്പം ഒരുപാട് വിഷമത്തോടെ അല്ലാതെ ഒരു വാക്ക് പറയാൻ സാധിക്കില്ല. ഞാൻ വികാസിന് കൂടുതൽ പരിചയമാവുന്ന ഒരു സെക്കൻഡ് ഇയർ ആയ സമയത്താണ്. ഒരു ദിവസം എന്നോട് പറഞ്ഞു ഞങ്ങൾ ബയോമെഡിക്കൽ അസോസിയേഷന്റെ കുറച്ച് ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്, മാം വന്ന് അതൊന്ന് ഇനോഗ്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. സോ നോർമലി when students are in second year, they are very less active in biomedical association activities. And I was very happy when I went to their class. അവിടെ ആ ക്ലാസ്സിലുള്ള എല്ലാവരും ഓർക്കുന്നുണ്ടാവും, ഒരു ബ്ലാക്ക് ചാർട്ടിൽ കുറെ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് അവർ പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഫോർ ദാറ്റ് സെമസ്റ്റർ, വാട്ട് ഓൾ തിങ്സ് ദേ വോണ്ട് ടു ഡു. ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ്സ് ലൈക്ക് ഹി വോണ്ട് എവറി മെമ്പർ ഓഫ് ഹിസ് ക്ലാസ് ടു ബി ആക്റ്റീവ് ഇൻ ബയോമെഡിക്കൽ അസോസിയേഷൻ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ്, ടു നോ വാട്ട് ബയോമെഡിക്കൽ ഫീൽഡ് ആക്ച്വലി വോണ്ട്സ് ഫ്രം ദം. അങ്ങനെ എല്ലാവരും ഇൻവോൾവ് ചെയ്ത് കുറെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യണം. അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ അന്നത്തെ ആ മീറ്റിംഗിൽ വികാസ് സംസാരിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായി. അപ്പം ഞാൻ വിചാരിച്ചു എത്ര ആക്റ്റീവായിട്ടാണ് ഒരാൾ ഒറ്റയ്ക്കല്ല, ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പിനെ മൊത്തം മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോകണം എന്നുള്ളൊരു നിശ്ചയദാർഢ്യത്തോടെ പ്രവർത്തിക്കുമ്പോൾ അത് എല്ലാവരും സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യും. പിന്നീട് വികാസിന് വയ്യാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഒരുപാട് വിഷമം തോന്നി, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ആശ്വസിപ്പിക്കേണ്ടതെന്ന് അറിയില്ല. അപ്പൊ വികാസ് എന്നോട് പറഞ്ഞു അത് കുറച്ച് പ്രാവശ്യം കീമോ ചെയ്യണം, എല്ലാം മാറിക്കോളും. വളരെ പോസിറ്റീവായിട്ടാണ് സംസാരിച്ചത്. അപ്പൊ കുറച്ച് വർഷങ്ങൾക്ക് മുമ്പ് ബയോമെഡിക്കൽ ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റിൽ ഒരു കുട്ടിക്ക് ട്യൂമർ വന്നിരുന്നു, രാമഭദ്രന് സുഖമായിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പം വികാസിനും അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ തന്നെ ആയിരിക്കും എന്നാണ് എന്റെ മനസ്സിന് ആദ്യമേ വന്നു പോയൊരു ചിന്ത. പിന്നീട് ഇടയ്ക്ക് ക്ലാസ് മിസ്സാവുമ്പോഴൊക്കെ വന്ന് കുറച്ച് എക്സാമുകളൊക്കെ മിസ്സായി. അപ്പൊ എന്നോട് പറയും അതൊക്കെ ഞാൻ എഴുതിയെടുക്കും. ലാബൊക്കെ വരുമ്പം ഒരു ലാബൊക്കെ ചെയ്ത് ലാബിൽ അപ്പൊ എന്നോട് വേണ്ട മിസ് ഞാൻ ചെയ്തിട്ട് എനിക്ക് ഇന്റേണൽസ് ഒക്കെ തന്നാൽ മതിയെന്ന്. അപ്പൊ ഒന്നും ആരുടെയും ഔദാര്യം വേണ്ടായിരുന്നു. എല്ലാം പിന്നെ ഇവരുടെ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ എപ്പോഴും ഇഷ്യൂസ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന ഒരു ക്ലാസ് ആയിരുന്നു. കുട്ടികളെ തമ്മിൽ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ. അപ്പം അഞ്ജലിയും വികാസും ഒക്കെയാണ്, അഞ്ജനും ഒക്കെയാണ്. പക്ഷെ ഒരിക്കൽ പോലും നമുക്ക് വികാസിന്റെ അടുത്ത് ദേഷ്യപ്പെടാൻ തോന്നാറില്ല. കാരണം എല്ലാ കാര്യകാരണങ്ങളും നിർത്തിയാവും സംസാരിക്കുക. പിന്നെ എങ്ങനെ അപ്പോളജൈസ് ചെയ്യാനും ടീച്ചേഴ്സിനെയൊക്കെ റെസ്പെക്ട് ചെയ്യാനും അവരോട് ഒരു വാക്കുകൊണ്ട് പോലും നമ്മളെ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടിക്കുകയോ അനുഭവിക്കുകയോ ചെയ്യാതെ പെരുമാറാനൊക്കെ നല്ലതെന്ന് അറിയാം. എപ്പോഴും ട്രീറ്റ്മെന്റിന്റെ ഒക്കെ ഇടയിൽ സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ വളരെ പോസിറ്റീവായിട്ട് നമ്മളെ കൂടെ ആശ്വസിപ്പിക്കുന്ന പോലെയാണ് സംസാരിക്കുക. അതെല്ലാം ഭേദമായി വിചാരിച്ചു. പിന്നെ തേർഡ് ഇയറും ഫോർത്ത് ഇയർ ഒക്കെ ആയപ്പം ഫോർത്ത് ഇയർ അവരുടെ പ്രോജക്റ്റ് കാർത്തികിനെ വികാസിന്റെ കൂടെ അല്ലാതെ ഞാൻ കണ്ടിട്ടില്ല. കാർത്തിക് ഒരുപാട് ഡൗൺ ആയി, വികാസ് വരാതെ വന്നു. അവരുടെ രണ്ടുപേരുടെ മാത്രം ഐഡിയ ആണ് അവരുടെ പ്രോജക്റ്റ്. രണ്ടുപേരും മാത്രമേ ഉണ്ടാവുന്നു. പിന്നെ ഞാൻ അർജനും കൂടെ അത് ചേർത്ത് അതില്. അപ്പൊ എന്നോട് ചോദിച്ചു രണ്ടുപേരായിട്ട് പ്രോജക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. ഇത് രണ്ടുപേരെ ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് ഒരു കുഴപ്പമില്ല. അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ചെയ്ത് വന്നാണ്. പിന്നെ ഒരുപാട് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുകൾ ഉണ്ടായി. പക്ഷെ എനിക്കൊന്ന് അവസാന നിമിഷം വരെ വികാസ് പോസിറ്റീവായിട്ട് പ്രതീക്ഷ ഇടാതെ ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ ഏറ്റവും അവസാനമായിട്ടും പ്രോജക്ട് പ്രസന്റേഷൻ ഒക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞ വർഷം ഇതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഓൺലൈനിലായിരുന്നു. അപ്പം വളരെ സൈലന്റ് ആയി പോകുന്നത് കണ്ടു. എന്നാലും വികാസ് ഇല്ലാതായി പോകുന്ന ഒരിക്കലും വിചാരിച്ചില്ല. ഒട്ടും വിശ്വസിക്കാനും ഇഷ്ടമല്ലായിരുന്നു. വികാസ് എവിടെയെങ്കിലും ഇതൊക്കെ കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടാവും. ഓക്കെ. ഇത് ക്രോസ് റോഡ് ഇങ്ങനൊരു ഇവന്റ് പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്ത എല്ലാ ഓർഗനൈസേഴ്സിനും എസ്പെഷ്യലി കൺഗ്രാജുലേറ്റ്. ബിക്കോസ് റിമെമ്പറിങ് വിനോദ് വികാസ് എപ്പോഴും അത് ഓർമ്മയിൽ എപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ടാവും. കാരണം ഒരാളൊപ്പമുള്ള ഒരാളില്ലാതാവുമെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരുപാട് സങ്കടമാണ്. I wish you all success for this program. Thank you.
Anakha, you are muted.
Sorry for that. So thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. We would also like to thank all our distinguished guests who took out the time to grace this occasion with your presence. In no time, we will be commencing our first event of the day, so stay tuned.
With great pleasure, we introduce the first speaker of the day, Mr. Babu Matthew, to speak on mental health awareness. Mr. Babu Matthew is an applied psychology postgraduate who is presently the principal researcher at the Center for Advanced Research in Socio-Emotional Learning. He has always been closely engaged in understanding the way children and adolescents think and learn. Hoping to create a collaborative, resilient, and empathic generation of global citizens, he's been in the vanguard of examining numerous social and emotional challenges in children and proposing strategies to cope with them. He has been quite active during this COVID pandemic and is the best person to address this session today. A hearty welcome to MEC, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravi Shankar. So let me first of all thank the Biomedical Association and the Placement Cell for inviting me to the MEC family. So it's a great honor. And now coming to the specific topic, mental health awareness. Maybe we need to really think about why this becomes so critical at this juncture. The pandemic and the uncertainties associated with the pandemic, how it is impacting the way we think, how it is impacting our relationships, how it is impacting the way we perceive. So there is definitely a disconnect on various aspects. We need to talk about that. We need to engage in critical conversations so that we get empowered to tackle the current scenario. So before starting, let me place on record my sincere gratitude to the organizers of this event, Crossroads, for giving me this opportunity to have this conversation with the students of Model Engineering College, Kurkakara. And getting into mental health, let's see how WHO, the World Health Organization, how they define mental health. Well, mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes her or his own abilities, can cope with normal stresses of life, can work productively. That means learn engagingly when we relate it with students, and is able to make contribution to her or his own community. So that's the definition of mental health. And according to WHO, mental health is fundamental to our collective and individual identity as humans. To think, emote, and interact with each other, earn a living and enjoy life. So I think that encompasses what really is a healthy, mentally healthy individual is. A mentally healthy individual will have the ability to think, to act out and express their emotions and interact with each other, will be able to earn a living and enjoy life. Well, I was listening to the introduction and Vikas Vinod was a great inspiration, I feel. So he was the embodiment of mental health when I look at it. So I think as juniors, we should be striving to achieve what he was in his golden days at MEC. So he is the embodiment of mental health. As you know, I listened to all those personal recollections that you all shared. It was really touching, it was motivating. So that's what we are going to talk about. And then, okay, what determines mental health is something that we should be really looking at. What are the various determinants of mental health? When we look at mental health, we see that there are the social factors, the psychological factors, and the biological factors that determine mental health. So why I would like to take you through these determinants of mental health is so that we get a clear idea what we are talking about. Mental health is not a big term. These are small things that happens in our life. Maybe we are all aware of physical health. We become like when we are physically stressed, we take the opportunity to seek medical help. But do we seek help when we are stressed? When we are not able to do things? When we lose the capacity to socialize, when we lose the capacity to think positively, when we fail to engage in relationships, do we seek help? Do we see that as a direction, as something that is telling us, please seek help? We are in trouble. So let's look at those factors. Let's look at the indicators. So, I will have to give a broader definition about the social factors. When we talk about social factors, we know the violence that happens in the society and the socioeconomic pressures associated with the social scenarios that can have a detrimental effect on positive mental health. So, if we are engaged in a society that is violence-ridden, if we have class or caste discriminations, gender discrimination that that is existing in the society, then there is a definite social stressor. So these kind of social stressors can have a negative impact on our social health. And then the rapid social changes that we undergo. When we think about rapid social change, I think the best thing to explain what rapid social change is the current scenario. Let's look at the pandemic. See, maybe 15 months back, it was so cool. We could travel, we could go along with our friends, we could sit in our classrooms, we could make all those noises, we could collaborate, we had all those discussions, the engaging discussions. Now it's all changed. We are stuck in our homes, we are stuck in our rooms. There is no space to socialize. So there's a rapid social change that has happened. So these kind of rapid social changes brings in detrimental impacts in our mental health. We also look at the stressful academic conditions. Well, let's look at the academic environment. How does it become stressful? Maybe when we are weighed down with the expectation of performance. We are continuously asked to perform. So that's something that youngsters find it difficult to tackle. The family pressure, the pressure from the faculty, the pressure about getting those grades. So that is permanently weighing on our mind. That definitely has an impact. Then see the academic requirements. Maybe you get bombarded with so much of assignments and stuff, and we at times fail to finish them in time. That creates another stressor. Then see, now we are totally cut off from our peer group. There is no interactions possible. So that is again another stressor. So these are critical things that produces more stress, and it can derail our mental health. Then we look at the gender disparities. Well, gender disparity. When I talk about gender disparity, maybe at MEC you may not find much of gender disparity among students. I feel you all treat everyone as equals. But maybe if you look at our homes now that 15 months have lapsed, we are stuck at home. Maybe the females will be able to vouch for that. I don't know. But when the intermittent periods, when you don't have classes, the online classes going on, maybe our mothers or someone else at home might be asking us, okay, can you come and help me in the kitchen? So, there is that kind of disparity. Maybe when we have so much work to do, because we being a female, there are instances when we stuck at home, we need to help the mother, help the household chores. So that becomes a burden. So that gender identity, maybe, that might create a kind of a disparity within us, and that can even then cause a mental distress. Then there is social exclusion. Social exclusion, that happens when we belong to vulnerable or marginalized communities, when we are discriminated based on our caste or our color or gender or ethnicity, or maybe even based on the economic aspects, when the difference between the haves and the have-nots. So those kind of social exclusions again puts a stress or can negatively impact our mental health. And finally, the physical ill health, when we are down with physical ailments, that does have an impact on our mental health. And then we move on to the psychological factors, that those psychological factors that in fact proves to be detrimental to our mental health. Let's look at each one. We have those psychological and personality factors. When we say the psychological factors, we have various needs. We have emotional needs. As a youth, those emotional needs are very critical. We need to be heard. We need to have those conversations. We need people to understand our emotions, respond positively to our emotional needs, listen to us, empathize with us. And we also have the need to have those family connections, meaningful conversations we have to initiate within the families and with our peer group and with our faculties. So when these things are absent, definitely there's going to be a stress on the mental health. And now, okay, if we take it a bit further, when there are people with mental conditions present within families, that's going to have a serious impact on our mental health. Maybe people who are like undergoing depression, or maybe when they are like any other mental health symptom, when they're experiencing that, so people have difficulties. Then, when people at home or the people around, when they engage in substance misuse, or when in our families, when we have a partner violence or gender discrimination within families, that can have a negative impact on our mental health. I'm just quickly rushing through these factors so that you get an idea why we become stressed. And then there is another area, that's personal space. And when I say personal space, I need to give a clarity, because we have intimate and personal space. It is the identity of an individual. When this personal space violation that happens within families and communities, they can strain mental health. When we say personal space violation, it is about when we are not heard, when we talk to someone, when the family makes a forceful intervention saying, okay, that's it, you stop, you have something to study. Why are you constantly engaged with your friends? Can't you devote more time for studies? When these things happen, it is a violation of our personal space. When people take decisions for us without asking our consent or asking our opinion, that's a personal space violation. When our opinions are ridiculed, these are personal space violations. So that causes a lot of stress to us, and these are again can be detrimental to our mental health. And then we say lack of autonomy. Autonomy is again the identity, the freedom to express ourselves. Well, when we have a freedom to express what we feel about something, when we can opinionate at family, with friends, in the classroom, when we get that kind of a freedom, that's when we realize that we can express our autonomy, our self-identity. When those spaces are denied, we become really submissive. We withdraw to ourselves because we never get the space to express ourselves. People are not willing to hear us. That can be really stressful. So that's any violation of autonomy can be stressful. That can have negative impacts on mental health. Then see, we have different personality styles. Like we often hear this: they are introverts or extroverts, and people normally prefer the extroverts. But introversion is not a crime. Introversion is not a disorder. Introverts are also people who have their own space. They like to do it, slowly. They would like to establish trust and then interact with people. So, these are based on personality types. When we try and distinguish or differentiate between people, that can be quite troublesome for the person who's involved or the person who's slightly withdrawn. They will have difficulty socializing. So that can have negative impacts on mental health. Then, moving further, we see the biological factors. Biological factors, when we talk about biological factors, we know the genetic and environmental factors. That's when there is a history of mental illness within the family, we stand a risk of having that mental issue for ourselves. So that's a risk. And then the second thing is the environment in which we grow up. That is, as children and adolescents, if we happen to grow up in an environment which is abusive, which is violent, or if we have traumatic childhood experiences, that can have serious mental health consequences. So it is always advisable that we have those wonderful, interactive, engaging interactions during our childhood and adolescence that helps us become stable and healthy individuals. In the sense, mental health, we become healthy in our minds, psychologically healthy. So these are the determinants or the factors that decide whether we are mentally healthy or not. So I hope that gives you an idea about what determines our mental health. And I suggest that once I finish this session, maybe the document that I'm using to communicate to you, we will be mailing it to all the participants so that they can just go through that. Because 30 to 35 minutes is hardly a good time to have an effective conversation. So I hope we can utilize more of the question answer links that are provided at the end of the session. So maybe I will go into detail once we finish this. I will also have a basic look at the mental health statistics. So if you look at the WHO numbers, we have almost 1.2 billion early youth in the world. That is the age group 15 to 24 years. The number of early youth is 1.2 billion. And the WHO states 20% in this category experiences some kind of mental conditions. So you can imagine that's 20% is like 240 million, right? 240 million youths are experiencing some kind of mental conditions. Just imagine the depth of that. And the recent data, because if you look at the pandemic, the recent data that is available from the United States, it shows that there is a 5-fold increase in the number of early youths who seek therapeutic interventions. In the US, you have to remember the fact that the pandemic is almost over. Most of the schools and colleges have reopened, and there is enough space for physical interaction, collaboration, and stuff. But those critical 8 months when they were shut down, and the schools and colleges were functioning online, see the kind of traumatic experiences and the stresses, they went up 5-fold. So that is why, the youth, they are approaching for therapeutic sessions. Imagine our scenario. We have been shut down for almost 16 months now. From 2020, March, now it is 2021, June. It's been almost 15 months plus. So the kind of stresses that you people are undergoing, you can imagine, getting shut ourselves in our rooms. So this can have serious consequences on our mental health. And we should be, really prepared to seek mental help. Help seeking should be something that we should be cultivating. And if we apply the same data to our population, we can imagine almost 80% of the youth in India will be really requiring this kind of a mental support. And now, maybe I will quickly try and take you through the different types of mental stresses that the specific age group, that is the youth, might be undergoing. See, this is just a hypothetical scenario. I'm just trying to give you this idea based on the conversations that we had with the various adolescents and youths. We had a conversation, we had a session for adolescents a week back. So, taking the data from those conversations and from the research and the reports from various organizations, what I feel is we can define them classify them into academic and career-related stresses, faculty and peer interaction-related stresses, family-related stresses, and maybe self-doubt and social stresses. So, if I just go through this, the academic and career-related stresses, which you might find it easy to associate. If there is a lack of academic engagement that is happening right now, because there is complete absence of spaces for academic discussions. You don't get a platform or a space to have those physical interactions, to discuss with each other, so that's totally absent. So that provides a lot of stress. And the uncertain future. Already, see, the technological landscape is changing at a fast pace. And now the pandemic is throwing up totally different scenario. Many of the jobs are just vanishing. They're becoming obsolete and redundant. So getting prepared for this uncertainty, that's a big challenge, and couple it with the situation that we are not able to communicate or effectively have conversations about these aspects with our friends or with our faculty or with anyone. So these are serious stresses. Then the lack of physical space. We used to have those physical spaces in our classrooms, in our laboratories, in our college, in our campus. Those spaces are no more there. Can we recreate? No, we don't have, we can't recreate those spaces. So that is in fact taking a toll. We are not able to focus on our academics. We are not able to focus on, even when we converse with peers, we can just lament on this lack of spaces. So that's another thing. And the career-related uncertainties. Okay, how to innovate, how to stay alive in this ever-changing career scenarios. Because one career that you might be focusing on when you started your BTech might not be there right now because they're changing so fast. So how do we innovate and how do we stay alive? That's a stress that's constantly nagging us. So that is there. And then the pandemic-induced restrictions curtailing the social needs. We don't have those kinds of assignments, the presentations that used to happen in our classrooms. They are totally absent. The peer encouragement, the peer support, the motivation, the kind of the noises that we used to derive from our classrooms. That's totally absent now. So those physical spaces, we miss them. That is another stress. Then when it comes to faculty and peer interaction related stresses, there is no physical interaction at all. No physical interaction with peers, no physical interaction with faculty. Yes, that is a big issue. The unmet socialization needs. Yeah, when just imagine maybe 15 months back when you were in college, and I think someone was mentioning about jumping the hostel and going to the Tattara. Yeah, we miss all that. We miss the evening tea, we miss the canteen, we miss all that. That unmet socialization needs, they are taking a toll on us. The lack of emotional connection with peer and faculty, with our peer group. See, just imagine holding hands and maybe, putting the hands on others' shoulders and walking through the campus. We are missing all that. So those kind of physical interactions, which could be really motivating and really, they made us. So those scenarios are missing now. See those lack of opportunities. And then the virtual peer interaction that happens right now, many of us, we feel that, we really lack that personal connection. We cannot personalize those virtual experiences. Maybe someone could, but not everyone. So, even a few weeks back when I was talking to this teenager, he was telling me, I prefer to have friends, who can really have that personal connection, talk to me, fight with me. But, I don't really love when I do it over the virtual world, the social media platforms. I find it really suffocating. I want that physical interaction. So we are missing on that. And then the family, okay, even when we have this opportunity to have virtual interactions, the family might be bringing in a lot of restrictions because, you're always talking with your friend. Why can't you focus on studies? What are you doing? So, every time they peep into your room, they ensure that you are just focused on your academics. You are just going through your books. So, these needs, which we are not able to communicate, and these kind of social interactions, the faculty-peer interactions are totally missing from the scene. So that is another area. Then we have this family-related stresses. When we look at the family-related stresses, the first thing that comes to my mind is the family most of the time is judgmental. They judge our actions. They don't look at our needs, but they just judge us. Okay, if you're talking to someone suddenly, they just judge that, okay, you're talking to your friend. You're spending too much time on the phone. You're spending too much time talking to people. So why can't you focus on something? They don't even ask what exactly is the need, why you have a need to converse. So those things doesn't happen. So those engaging conversations are absent. They just judge us. And when they judge, we feel really furious and we try to cut them off. So that is another thing. Then the emotional disconnectedness within the families. And earlier, it used to be not like this. See, we used to visit our homes maybe once in 3 months. And, we were welcomed with open hands. We used to get those hugs and maybe we used to have all those good food on the table when we visited the families. Now that we are there at our homes 24/7, maybe the parents are stressed with, the issues at workplace and the lockdown and the uncertainty related to the pandemic, and seeing, every day the same faces, there is a lot of emotional disconnectedness. Even though we live under the same roof, we really don't find time to really have this conversation with each other. And that's really stressful. So the emotional disconnectedness within the family has widened. Then, always the family will be telling, focus on your studies, career, studies, academics, nothing else. And, then they start making those comparisons, the ridicule and the underlying sarcasm when you say that, okay, I've done well in a particular exam, you say, oh, you did well. I didn't know that. Or maybe, oh, it's only that. No, they really don't appreciate the good things that we do, but then they never fail to criticize anything positive with a negative tinge. So that drives us crazy. Again, there is that disconnectedness widens. Then, the family, they always have these expectations. They'll be coming and telling you, we have invested everything that we earned on your studies. Unless you get a good job, we'll be in deep trouble. So, these kind of things, we are just, inviting your results. You need to get placed somewhere. Otherwise, see, all our dreams are on you. So these, the expectations and the carrying the expectations of the family on your shoulders is a bit too much. They can be really stressful. And then, the continuous violation of our personal space. They come into our room maybe every half an hour to see whether we are sleeping or we are just watching something or are we studying. So those personal intrusions into our space, they really irritate and infuriates. And then maybe that's when we have those emotional conversations. Maybe you shout at your parents, or maybe you throw things around, a total tantrum, and what is going to happen is you say, I was just looking in, I was just checking, there's nothing else, I didn't anything else. So these are, and then you lose your next 3 to 4 hours. What is happening within my family? I'm not able to focus on my studies. So, this is another thing, the violation of our personal space. And the lack of empathy being displayed by the family. When we are struggling with personal problems. And if we get a chance to discuss, see, the ultimate thing that you get is, the portrait, just leave it. അതൊന്നും വലിയ കാര്യമൊന്നുമല്ല, നിങ്ങൾ അതിനകത്ത് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കേണ്ട, നിങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കും, പഠനത്തിൽ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കും, ഇതൊക്കെ നിന്റെ ശ്രദ്ധ മാറ്റുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. So these kind of dialogues, in fact, they are very stressful for us. That is why we wanted to have a conversation. And when they ridicule or when they just say these are silly things, yeah, we get hurt. And then we feel no one understands us. So that is another area of concern. And then moving on to the next level, we have the self-doubt. Will I be able to live up to the expectations of my family? What if I fail? What if I don't get placed? So these are the constant doubts. When we have those nagging thoughts throughout, when we have these thoughts, we won't be able to even focus on the academic part. Then the next question comes, will I be able to find the right job? Oh, if I don't do anything, what is the purpose of my life? Will I be able to achieve anything in my life? Do I have the confidence to enter into a profession or a career? Will I be able to excel in my career? Will I be able to, make those progresses? These are things that have, that makes us doubtful about ourselves. So we have these nagging thoughts. And there is no one to discuss these thoughts. So that puts us down. Again, it takes away the valuable time from us because we are engaged in these kind of thoughts, which are negating, self-negating. And then, we also see maybe the social issues that you see around, the political uncertainties, the kind of vicious atmosphere and the hatred that is present in the system. So how it is going to have the impact in the coming decades, how it is going to affect the job scenario, will I get the freedom to express my opinion? Will I be curtailed? So these are other, political and social things that happens around that will also have a serious weightage on our mind, the way we think, the way we process information. So they can be really troubling. And see, I was just trying to take you through a few examples of what we undergo. The social, the psychological, the family, the peer, the career areas where we tend to struggle, where we are we are really stressed out. And now that I've brought in all this, let's just try and see, is there a way? Can we do something about correcting this? Is it possible for us to outlive these kind of stresses? Can we work together on being psychologically aware and work together to become mentally healthy individuals and communities? Because only mentally healthy individuals can bring in a mentally healthy community. So what are the actions that we can undertake to become more psychologically healthy? So let's look at that. So, even I'll take the first few things from the WHO. And they say it's respect and protect the basic human values. When we say respect gender, that is irrespective of male, female, transgender, whatever, we are all individuals. So that kind of respect, the mutual respect has to be there. Then based on age, whether it's a child, an adolescent, a youth, or an adult, or a senior citizen, we need to respect each other. It's not that as youth, we deserve less respect. We are individuals. So as youth, we need respect. As children, we need to provide respect to the children. Yeah. So there is a mutual give and take when it comes to respecting the basic human values. Then our identity, our autonomy, our culture, social and economic ethnic identity, all these has to be respected in the sense that we need to provide spaces for all these to exist. So that is the first thing. So how do we do that is when we try to know each other, when we try to have those engaging conversations, whether it's a child or an adult or a senior citizen, we can have those conversations, try to know each other. That's the idea behind this. When you get to see a person, have those engaging conversations, make those gentle queries, try to know each other. So that is the space for respect is created in that fashion. And if someone is not comfortable disclosing, then gently withdraw from that scene, telling, it's okay, you need not disclose everything. So that kind of respect for the others, that is critical. Then in creating those engaging learning environments, I know it is a difficult scenario right now when I say this, but even in online the scenarios, what I suggest is we can create those kind of virtual rooms, virtual learning groups wherein you can share your materials with each other, help each other edit, and then bring in new things into the documents, and that way collaboration can be established. That becomes engaging learning environments. And I also need to tell you, when I say this, maybe, see, there is a lockdown in place, I do agree, but it's a gentle suggestion. You take time to at least, taking the lockdown and other restrictions into consideration, but very logically, maybe you can make a trip to one of your friends' place, have an interaction, because those physical interactions are very critical. So please try and do that at least once a month, but try and have this interconnection with your friends. That's very critical. Yeah, we have to do that. And then maintain interpersonal interactions that are responsive, supportive, and developmentally stimulating. When I say this, interpersonal interactions that are responsive. Responsive is, you try to know each other, you try to support each other. That's, and that's responsive and supportive. And developmentally stimulating is you challenge each other in the sense that, we provide opportunities to brainstorm. Happens within the peer group, there's a lot of give and take that happens there. So, creating those interpersonal interactions are very critical. And then engage in stress reduction and stress coping activities. That is, you have to build peer networks, professional and mentor networks. When I say this can be done on the social platform, the social media platform. I need not tell you more about it because you being from the technology background, you students are really equipped to deal with this. You can build peer network, professional and mentor networks much more effectively than what I can tell you. So please go on and do that so that you get those platforms where you can discuss your anxieties, your dreams, and these networks will help you achieve them. So please do that on a regular basis. And then, then I move on to that final part, which is the 21st century critical skills. They are called empathy, collaboration, and resilience. So, and I need not explain this further because what I found is these are three things that Vikas Vinod really exhibited in your campus. So empathy is, when we understand ourselves and when we communicate with others. When we understand ourselves, it helps us in understanding others. When we understand our emotions, the reasons behind those emotions, when we can analyze them, that's when we also can connect to another person. See that, okay, he or she is experiencing something similar to what I experienced. And then, you make those powerful listening. You listen without being judgmental. You listen to the other, okay, then you help them. You problem solve together. That's when we make those empathic connections within the peer group. And even we can extend the same to our families. We can talk to our parents, we can express ourselves. Take time when we are emotionally distressed, do not do that. But, maybe you move around, you take some time. Once the emotions are settled, you analyze what was the thing that really stressed you out or irritated you. Once you analyze, maybe you seek a hearing from them. Say that, okay, I need to have a conversation in person with you, father or mother. And then maybe if you can really narrate what went wrong or why you got irritated, why you got upset with a rationale and logic, maybe that's when they can listen with empathy, they will understand your side. And you can also provide the same sort of environment to them when they can talk about their irritations, their concerns and fears. And when these kind of interactions happen, we can, in fact, problem solve together. So that's empathic relationships. Then it's about building resilience. Resilience is, when we are able to express, that's the beginning of resilience. Then, we need to express our opinion. That is another area. We need to really express what we feel, why we feel, and what we think about things, our ideas. When we take that initiative to express ourselves, that is something which will help us to connect with others. Then respecting the space of others. So that's autonomy. When we respect others' space, when we don't interlude or we don't just jump into other spaces, causing concern to them. When we respect those, we get the respect back. And then the most critical thing in resilience is seeking help. And seeking help is, okay, it can be an emotional thing, it can be an academic thing, it can be a career-related query, but seek help from those trustworthy individuals, those peers whom you trust, those teachers in whom you have absolute trust. Seek their help. Explain what is troubling you. And then, you have to state it and then seeking that kind of help. And if you are stressed about something, seek the help of a mental health professional. That helps. So seeking help is a critical element. And, then you have to plan your future. When you plan your future, you have to, use those networks, the networks of peer, mentor, and professionals to plan your future. And when faced with a problem, make those decisions which are ethical. And that's and then finally, I will come to collaboration. Collaboration is, it's building active and supportive networks. First, you start with the peer networks, active, supportive, and engaged peer networks. Who can effectively converse about problems, converse about ideas, converse about innovations, have those engaging interactions on a regular basis. This will help reduce the kind of stresses that you experience right now. And it helps in collective thinking. When you look at problems, when you look at the pandemic, okay, people will come up with new ideas and sharing those ideas, discussing those ideas. That will help. These kind of collaboratives will help. So, when we think about the uncertainties, it is about, those who are doing good in life, they need to take time to come back and support the ones who are not struggling. So, those kind of supportive networks, in fact, helps people build beautiful relations, support each other, and that's what collaboration is. And these three things, empathy, collaboration, and resilience, we can work on it together. I think we can build a beautiful future for the youngsters that I'm talking to. So that was a quick running through that I did. So maybe I think I have not run out of time. So if you have queries, you can come up with those queries.
Yes, sir. You actually covered a lot of topics that were in the minds of all the students. Just one question, like you mentioned, the pressure that comes from placements is one of the greatest pressures that students now face. So what do you have to say to those students who's currently going through that phase, just to help them overcome it?
Yeah. So I will take it from a very different perspective. Okay. Because I think normally what is going to happen is people will tell them, you have a second chance. Go prepare yourself better, right? That is a normal scenario. So what I will say is, let's look at the ones who get placed. Okay? So once if I get placed, I have a responsibility to talk to my friend who does not get placed. So you need to create a platform wherein the ones who get placed gets an opportunity to interact with the ones who doesn't get placed. Those conversations, and please ensure when those conversations happen, you cannot ridicule, you cannot use sarcasm, you cannot do such stuff. But okay, maybe when you have those conversations, which helps the other to understand what really went wrong. So those kind of inquisitive conversations should be initiated. That will help the person who did not get placed to understand, okay, what mistake happened from my part, what I could have done better. So these things will have to come from him. We should not be providing advices, and advice is something that we hate. So these kind of idea sharing and supportive network, because that helps a lot in the sense that future also we will come together, we will connect together, we will be able to problem solve together. So, and that's when we ensure that, or even make the candidate understand the fact that, okay, I can take a second or third or fourth chance. Otherwise, when it is provided as an advice from the family and the faculty, what is going to happen? They're really going to just lose all interest, and they're going to really get stressed. They become more anxious. But maybe if you can bring in a scenario wherein the placed ones gets a chance to interact with the ones who have not got placed. That way, maybe that's what I suggest. So that's about peer network also.
Yes, sir, that's a very good suggestion. We'll actually try implementing such a platform for the students. Thank you.
Okay, and maybe I think my time is up, right? Is it?
Yes, sir, yeah. We've actually come to the end of the session.
Okay, so should I say that, or maybe if you can say, I can share my talk with all the participants, I can email them. That is one thing. Second is, there is a Google form provided to all the participants. They can fill in their queries, and these queries will be answered depending on the number of queries, okay? If the number of queries are more, but I will ensure that I will answer each query. I will take time to do that, and they will be mailed personally to each participant. All right? And finally, we will bring that into a book and give it to all the participants so that all the queries will be, the answers will be available to all the participants. So please ensure that you do that. That's a request from my part.
Yes, sir, of course.
And thanks a lot for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful session. And as he mentioned, all the viewers are requested to fill the form in the comment section to raise your queries. And as he promised, all will be answered. And again, thank you, sir. Thank you for the time you took off to come speak with us and remind us of the importance of mind control and stress management. The lockdown has turned out to be a nightmare to many of us here. And we are confident that this session has given us an insight on how to overcome it. It was an extremely useful session. Thank you.
Wasn't that a great session, everyone? Now, why don't we put our stress thoughts and future expectations aside and just take in as much as we can from our 4 years at MEC? And who better to address this session than an xMECian?
Joining us for the next session is a prominent and influential alumni, Ronnie Joseph. After completing his electronics and communication engineering from MEC in 2019, he is now working as an SIC design engineer at OpenFive, one of the best semiconductor companies in the country. He's an active member of the placement cell, whose contributions have made a large impact on student training. Owing to a wide network of connections and good technical knowledge, he has always been in the forefront of lending a helping hand to the college. He was also an integral member of the activities conducted by xMEC. From the placement cell and BMA, a hearty welcome to you, Ronit.
Thanks, Kim.
Good to have you back in the MEC family.
Yeah, same feeling actually.
Yeah. So, Ronit, let's give a twist to the cliche talk session approach. Let's make this much more interactive.
Yeah, sure.
Why not dive into the Q&A session right away?
Yeah, sure.
So, friends, if you have any queries to the MEC life in front of you, don't shy away. Put them in the comments.
Sure.
So, let's take in our first question. Was there any particular reason for choosing MEC? What were your expectations while joining MEC in the first year?
Actually, a very major role, I think, was played by my elder sister. So she told me actually, and I think she is involved majorly because that I want to join electronics and communication. She also wanted to join electronics and communication in Model Engineering College, but she only got CS, I suppose. So she went into Chenganur, but from her, I heard a lot about this. And then I used to look into the sites and all such, I used to research about it. And I found that it was pretty good, for placement and activities such as this. So yeah, based on that majorly actually.
Okay. Were there any particular expectations from about the college that you had?
Yeah, the expectations, not that much. First time we're going into a college, so
yeah,
we don't have any that much of an expectation. Anything that we get is a new one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. We'll take in our next question. Sure. MEC is known for its frequent competitions and events conducted by the various clubs.
Yes.
So how much have these experiences helped you in your MEC life?
Personally, I do regret that I have not been able to work in multiple such projects and hackathons and events, but I do know that yes, it helps a lot. I have worked in a few limited ones, such as MEC labs and this, but yeah, it does play a very important role. So both technically as well as soft skill wise. So you do look into hackathons, you try to figure it out. Especially for the first 2 years, you may not have that many responsibilities to take in MEC especially. So that 2 years you should maximum, utilize it to the maximum to get most hackathons, events, competitions, and to boost your technical knowledge a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Rather than just having a bookish knowledge, this does help you to explore.
Apply those concepts.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, what was your most memorable experience during Excel? As the marketing manager of Excel 2018, could you elaborate on the impact the same had in developing your skills?
Or all the 4 Excels that I witnessed was memorable, every experience of it. But if I had to choose, I would say the first year one.
Okay.
Because you don't have much responsibilities. Yes, you have a lot of work. There will be lots of sleepless nights. You think that seniors are making you do a lot of work, but we don't see the seniors' plight and the responsibilities. But at the same time, that is the most effective time for us to participate. And there were instances where we will try to hide from the seniors to avoid some works, to enjoy and to participate in events. And we would make friends with some seniors, so that whenever someone asks us to do something, we'll say this senior called us, so we are going there. So that helps. And I think that was probably the only Excel where I participated many events. I think we won Lumiere that time, Jones, Nandini and I. So that was probably a very good one, especially hiding from seniors. That is a very good thing. But yeah, we had a lot of work, but in between the time we got, at least we were able to participate.
Okay. And what about the experience as the marketing manager of Excel 2018?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
So I was the marketing manager from placement cell coordinator group. So it is a little different from the corporate marketing that we have, similar to what Joe was there. So yes, it what impact it had on me was yeah, it will boost your soft skill, your management skills, and similar like attributes. But mainly it helps us to realize like most of the times we may fail, but even like a small chance, we will be trying like willing to go into all of these sessions. Like we'll do all the hard work, but at the end of the day, we do realize that there is a larger chance of us failing, and that helps us a lot to learn actually. But as a team, and like especially with the this PC marketing was like very helpful actually.
Okay. Now next is about your journey in PC. You are a placement cell coordinator at MEC. How did being a member of a professional body help you in molding your future? Do you have any advice for the students interested in joining PC?
Okay, let's go one at a time.
Yeah.
So the first question you said, like
like how did being a member of a professional body help you in molding your future?
Yeah, so the placement cell, especially for model engineering college, is a very professional body, and like it works mainly on teamwork, coordination, unity, and it is very systematic. So you have targets, you have deadlines, you have planning phases, and it all makes you a better professional actually. So you have to deliver quality work at the right amount, like taking the right amount of time. So you have to get the job done. So this was kind of a very helpful stage for us. Even in college itself, for main project and other kind of events like that, it helps us a lot. It boosts our morale. It like helps us to think like that, to spend some extra time. We are willing. Yeah, it will be hard work. It is not an easy job. The early few months and like first year and all, but it will get better. And even though the responsibilities increase, you know how to tackle them and not get stressed about it. So that is something we will enjoy. And also even in our work or any culture that we believe, like we will be moving forward to, it will help us a lot.
Yeah, I believe it even helps in like tackling new problems that we've never faced before.
Yeah, exactly. So as I said, you get a problem, you get a target, you plan it properly. Yeah. So that was pretty good actually. So
yeah,
it helps us a lot. So even in the work front, so it is kind of similar to a startup venture where you have to work hard, you have to learn. The learning curve is very high.
Yes.
So you have to learn new things and you have to find a way to do things. And yeah. So it may not be that much technical, but in all technical aspects, I believe, like even when I'm working in a company right now, it helps us a lot to follow that systematic procedure.
Yeah. Now the next question is about your profession. Could you give an overview about the responsibilities of an ASIC design engineer, and what's your advice for those who are aspiring for the same post?
So an ASIC design engineer, I'm with the DFT section. So it's an application specific IC, ASIC. So it's in the VLSI industry. So like, so in your question, you want me to go through the ASIC flow or something, or like?
A basic idea of what your job entails, and yeah.
Okay. So I believe everyone knows how an integrated circuit works, right? So we have to begin from a hardware description language. So like we have got chips, we have to create them. So based on the technologies, now we are moving into smaller nodes with nanometer technology going smaller and smaller. So we are facing new challenges day by day. For that, creating new chips with new cores, new processors. First, we require a hardware description language stage where we will be doing a functional architecture and design. After, of course, the design specifications. Then we go into a functional verification step. Then we move into the DFT, that is design for testability. That is what I am working on currently. Then we move into a physical design stage where like layout, placement, routing, power analysis, all those stuff we take, and then a GDS file created, and then we have a post-silicon validation. Once a chip has been formed, then we validate that. So that is, so these are the stages. So as I mentioned, these are the job profiles that you will be facing in an ASIC design role. So you will have a functional architecture, you will have functional verification, you will have a design for testability, DFT team. Then you have a PD team, physical design, and similarly post-silicon validation. So I'm currently working on on the DFT side. So my job profile will be allowing us. So we know that a chip that comes out, we have to test it that it is functionally and logically correct. But at the same time, during manufacture, right, since the nodes are very small in nanometer scale, there may be manufacturing defects. So to like analyze which chips have manufacturing defects or not, to find an easy testability method, we provide a different architecture. So that is called the design for testability.
And any advice for those aspiring for that post? Like, what are the particular fields you have to look into? Our projects.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, you can look into industry-related projects, and especially when it comes to VLSI, I believe in the college we have good FPGA boards as well. So by the time I was there, we had Vertex 6, Vertex 7, Spartan boards. So a lot of VLSI resources we do have. Otherwise, it would take a huge cost. So I believe when people are looking for projects, first realize what kind of resources the college has. So it will reduce your cost a lot. Secondly, understand the ASIC design flow in your projects and properly do the RTL coding, synthesis. And if you, like even if you take a very small project, right? But if you go through an entire flow, it will be very, very helpful actually. Because that is what people require. Like most of the time, people won't be requiring a very high level project from you guys. But it depends on what you have learned from that project. So that also matters a lot. And secondly, if you want me to provide some insight on how you can attempt to get here, is one thing is like join as interns. Because normally in the VLSI industry, people do take like post-masters. So if you join as an intern, like it is a training period as well, and it helps you understand. So the basic knowledge you would like, should be having is digital electronics, CMOS, and I know it may be very boring for the CS students. But yeah, so those are the nodes. Any hardware description language, I would say preferably Verilog will be very, very useful. And these CMOS circuits, the analysis, the layouts, those will be helpful. And one more thing, in digital, when I say digital, I mean like logic circuit, like FSMs, designing these circuits, okay, combinational, sequential, like the timing. So like when you're studying, don't just study from like college syllabus perspective. Like these are very interesting subjects, especially the second year topics, and you can take it forward, go in depth. So you need not like learn all the theory properly. Just a basic theory will suffice you to solve even the big problems. So you need even the big problems ultimately come down to the small things. So understand the small things in depth. That is the main thing. I think I believe for any EC core company, that is what they require.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. Yeah. It's pertains to the current placement scenario. In the virtual scenario, many companies have made resume shortlisting the initial procedure for their drives. So how can we make our resume stand out in such a case, be it an EC core or a non-core company?
First of all, we shouldn't have just one resume for ourselves. Like depending on the company that we will be applying to, we need to modify our resumes. And we have like our areas of interest. We have the technology nodes that we have worked. So you need to highlight that is the most prominent one. So the projects that you have done that are relevant for those should be highlighted on top. The internships, the work, like the workshops that you have attended, all those should be highlighted. Like they should come on top. So if you're attempting for a VLSI company, if you have an area of interest as robotics and embedded, it may not go through. Like they will feel like, yeah, ultimately he wants to jump only. So they will not consider that properly. That is a mindset of few people, but mostly we need to have tailor-made resumes, proper industrially relevant projects. We shouldn't just take the projects off the internet. You need to properly research through the IEEE IET papers and then do that. Yeah. If you have any follow-up questions, let me know, okay?
Yeah, I think we can take a few questions from the audience. There are a few.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
So there's someone asking, what are the relevant projects and technologies that have to be focused on based on this online scenario?
Okay, like this is something new, and I believe different circumstances require different things. So in the online scenario, how we can proceed is different. So, like all the projects actually do require, like whether it even be a computer science software project, right? You need to brainstorm it together. So like a little bit of interaction was necessary. So I am actually not the best person to provide insight into it. But yeah, we need some innovative solution for this. This is an innovative problem and it requires something new actually. So we tackled.
Maybe somehow how your company is going through this online scenario in the
yeah, but we have proper procedures. We do have interactive sessions, and we do like we have all the resources with us. So for I believe for software projects, it might not have that much of an impact. But for electronics core projects that you have, right, there will be like you require resources. So as I mentioned, I did a project on VLSI. So an FPGA based project I did. So I had the resource from the college. Otherwise, to like obtain a FPGA board is not feasible. So for an electronics company, that is actually a tricky problem. But we need some sort of like innovative solution. We need to find out how to. And I believe you would have had discussion with the teachers as well, the faculty.
Yeah.
What responses did you get?
Well, like during labs, there are virtual platforms that students can simulate their lab programs. But yeah, maybe somehow like, so I'm asking like, how would in your company consider students hiring freshers in this situation?
Yeah, actually they, as I told you, right, in the ASIC or VLSI field, what will happen is they will take recruits as interns, the freshers. And then they will convert them because they require a certain amount of time to train them. Like, so I believe any electronics core company for that matter of fact will take like people, during interview process, it will be simpler and like basic questions, seeing the depth of knowledge that you have regarding that. But for some amount of time, you need to work in a project to train. So it's not like they will specifically give you training, but you'll train along with working on a project. So that is one way. Actually, I don't think there is any other way to get into a VLSI company because even we had a discussion like internally in our company. So it was mentioned that the VLSI training institutes also, some of them, they are not able to provide proper training. So the concepts, you have to like make them unlearn the things they have learned there. So to get into a VLSI company, I believe like get into basics, try to get an internship. I believe a lot of xMECians and the placement cell would be helping you a lot there. Try to get into interns. That will be probably the only way to get into and VLSI company.
Yeah, I think most core-based companies would be hiring as interns nowadays.
Yes.
So next question as in general is, could you give us some tips for developing soft skills as it's crucial to ace interviews?
Yeah, soft skills is very important, I believe. And I believe like the training cell and placement cell will be working very hard for the students to achieve this. So I believe to keep it in regular intervals, especially GDs, you know. So as I mentioned, participating in hackathons, competitions, this not only like enhances your technical skills, but also your soft skills where you can talk about it, you can pitch your product. Similarly, having GDs. GDs are very important, I believe. And I think like the training cell should consider having it more regularly because even in the professional environment, what happens is we do require like people to brainstorm. So at that moment of time, we need to have that like the communication barrier should not be present. And also like there will be some cliche questions which will be asked during HRs. So it is important. So I believe like the training cell could create some catalog of those, not to give them the answers and not to and to tell them not to rely on the answers they find on the internet. They should try to come up an answer with themselves. But at the end of the day, they should be prepared. Because I do know that when we were third years, so we had a senior. So 8 people in FactSet interview, if I'm not wrong. So 8 people went into the HR round, and one of them, he was very good actually, but he was not taken because like the HR specifically mentioned that we need to focus on that soft skills. Like there is a huge communication barrier. So that should not happen. So I believe like not just the training cell, but every student should
take in the personal effort.
Yeah, exactly. So they should try to have some interactions. And in the online scenario, I know that it will be a much more harder job.
So like you said some cliche questions in the HR round. So can you just point out a few maybe for the students who are listening this?
Yeah, like maybe mainly think, why do you come? Why do you want to join this company? Introduce yourself. And these are some things when they say introduce yourself, they mean they want it in a certain flow. They don't want the exact answer from everyone, but they want it in a certain crisp way where you do inform about yourself in a very minimal manner. Secondly, like they would ask most cliches, where do you see 5 years from now in this company? So these are questions like you cannot have one proper answer for that. You might find answers in the internet, but it won't help. At the end of the day, they need to see your personality. But if you kind of prepare such kind of questions earlier and you give it to students so that before interview, at least they have an insight into that. And to build their soft skills so that they don't learn things by heart. But if they have points, they can maneuver them into answers properly during the interview itself. So I'm not saying that training cell and placement cell have all the onus upon them, but each and every one of the students should realize it is important. But I believe in MEC, probably almost everyone will be involved in some activity or the other. So in that case, so if you have clubs, you have sessions, it is not just a training cell, right? Everyone should have that responsibility, every club, to have interactive sessions in between. But with the online scenario, again, that is a little difficult for all of us.
Yeah, but we are trying to line up all the things via online itself at MEC. And as you said, it's right, almost all the students are involved in most programs.
Yes. Well, that is actually a very good thing about MEC. From third year onwards, if I believe everyone will have responsibilities, everyone will have to work as a team, the unity, coordination, everything works. And this is good actually. So this is also coming part of soft skills itself. Without knowing, you are learning something. But communication barrier, you need to break a little bit.
So we have a next question. How important do you think industrial experience is? How can one enhance practical knowledge, and how much can working in startups contribute towards the same?
Okay, so industrial experience is pretty important, right? If you get an internship in an industry field, so let it be even a small amount of time. If you get an exposure, right, it is huge, because you get to know how it works, especially in a startup. You get to know how each and everything works. And it is a very systematic. As I told you, PC being a professional body, we learn how to do things systematically, right? So that is the main advantage of working. For example, if you have a project and you are working with an xMEC or some company to achieve its results, right? So you will have systematic timelines, deadlines, targets, and you have to provide quality work. So this actually it builds the morale and the personality skills as well. So I believe it is very important. And if you get internships, it is good. Also be part of. I've heard that now you have the 6-month internship, right? In the final.
Yeah.
So I believe
incorporate it.
Yes. So every student, I believe they should try it. For 6 months, it is really very good. It gives you a really good insight into how the industry works, and people will be ready to take you.
How much important do you think this industrial experience or internships are to getting placed in your one stream company?
As I mentioned, for electronics core companies, I think most of the companies, including us, they provide this 6-month internship for the final year students, and then they recruit from there. So I believe for electronic student, it is very important. And I believe,
generally speaking, maybe.
but generally, not that much. For software, if you are speaking, right? In software, I believe everyone will be having a GitHub account or something. So they do work on open source projects. And when it comes to software skills, right? There, it will be very helpful. So there, that much of industrial experience, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So if you want, but like any involvement is helpful. Sorry to cut you.
It's okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What were you saying?
No, I was saying even in software, just don't take it for granted that even if I don't get an internship, it's fine. You try to get an internship. That should be your first priority. But even if you don't feel bad. It's not the last thing.
So, how have companies adapted to the pandemic situation, particularly hardware companies?
Depends on the hardware company. So if they are like completely hardware bound, then they require people there. If that hardware can be like coupled with machines and those machines can be broadcasted, it is fine. For us, for our company, it doesn't matter that much. But those who are working on the chip, they have to be regularly present in the office. So there are times where you have to. So even for embedded, I believe it's the same. For I believe when you mean hardware companies, you mean pertaining to electronics and communications, right?
And electrical also.
Yeah, electrical also. So I believe there it is more required, but there are aspects where you don't require it. So therefore,
in the sectors where there are the employees are needed in the office, they are coming to the office right now, sir.
They provide a specific time slot. So like I have few friends in Bosch and all, they were asked to come for a certain duration of time because like broadcasting that is not easy. So you like broadcast the hardware into a machine and then it's not easy and you don't get the slot. So like monthly basis or something, they will be called somewhere. Monthly or like 6-month basis. Yeah. It depends exactly on which hardware field you are working in. So even in embedded, you have software, you have hardware. So there will be phases where you don't require that much of hardware capability.
Yeah.
So at that point of time, it's fine. Some places I know, like in foreign countries, they provide the hardware at home.
Yeah.
So that is also one way. But yeah.
So many IT service companies offer opportunities for the circuit branches, which is the preferable programming languages for the students to concentrate on.
Like if you're going for an embedded field or something like that, C, any programming language, if you know, it's very good. So if you start with C, C is very simple. That is very good and it will be helpful. But I also believe latest nowadays Python has taken like the world by this. So from AI to everything, from shell, it is now reigning the world, I believe.
Yeah,
so Python is good, yeah. So Python is a very good thing. So C and Python, if you learn, it should be fine for like EC circuit branches, I believe. Because any programming language, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you have the pseudocode and algorithm, it's fine.
Yeah, the basics are code.
Yes.
Could you explain the future of bismuth-based semiconductor? As we know, bismuth isn't toxic.
As of now, we are also not experimenting with that. Not that much idea about it. But maybe in the future, once all the research comes out, we will be looking into that also.
Are there industries where this kind of semiconductors are tested out?
I'm also not sure that I haven't researched much about it.
Okay. Another question is, the placement season is approaching and a lot of students are in dilemma. Could you explain how you started preparations for placements?
Yeah, you need to start don't be like us. We started a little late, but then we realized that it has to be you need to start a little early. So I believe from second year onwards, if you start working in hackathons, events, all those do help a lot. Learn the basics. from second year, like whatever you're studying. I believe, I'm not sure about CS branches, but for circuit branches, it's the subjects that you learn in second year, probably the third semester ones that are most important. So if you do learn that properly, it will be very helpful. So, what was the other question?
Like, could you explain how you started your preparations?
Okay.
Like, for the placements.
So I probably started towards the end of the third year. Because by that time, like we interacted with the seniors and we got to know what all should be prepared. And we also conveyed the message to the batchmates, like this is how we should prepare. So
what all should we
here, how do you want me to focus my answer to? Like, if I can,
maybe,
if I want
I guess
on
you
an
can start with electronics itself.
Yeah, if I start with electronics, yes, I'll be able to help a little bit.
And then we'll go into general side.
So as I said, the second year topics are very important for core. So you will have the digital circuits, you will have network theory, you will have the op amps. So these are the basic things that like the electronic circuits, the diodes, BJTs, CMOS, these are the basic things that they will ask. So if you are well versed with the third sem topics, right? Like when I mean well versed, you should be knowing that in depth. So that is very helpful. So I believe you should practice a lot of problems based on these. Gate level preparation is good. Everyone, if you are interested to go into a core electronics company, I believe a gate level preparation is very good. So if you try to solve, because those will be the type of questions that you will be getting in the prelims and in the interviews probably.
Okay, now looking into the general aspect for CS, EB, everything.
Yeah, the same, like which topic that you have, right? So we have lots of domains. So based on the interest, the domains that you have, you can try. So if you want DBMS, you need to know like basics of each of these. But I don't think that much in-depth knowledge is required. But overview is also fine. But I may not be the best person to answer this. So like I have been through like few nightmare of CS interviews. So I know like DBMS is good, but you need to know that basic programming algorithms, linked lists, nodes. So those are the basic things they will be asking. And like how to, like one more aspect is how to optimize your code. So do whatever you do it in a good way. Yeah. So I believe for circuit branches, it should be clear. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Even though the net is getting a little bit disrupted.
Is it? Okay. How about now?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. And do a lot of projects. I believe for CS people, that is one thing. Like have a GitHub account, start doing lots of open source projects, start getting into internships. I believe even GSOC is there. I think you need to push people also to try getting into it. So GSOC not only like it helps themselves, but Google only comes to those colleges who have certain percentage of people getting those things. So those aspects are good. So try participating into hackathons, events, try to build your, expertise.
Okay, another question that we have is, most companies have branches spread over multiple locations. How significant the location of the branch is important for career growth?
Yeah, I understood the question actually. So it depends on the domains of companies. If like more companies are present in that location, yes, it will help you. But as a career growth, like if you want to jump to different companies, it will be helpful always. So yeah, it helps a lot actually.
So like pertaining to the core, if there are other companies surrounding where you are located, it's more easy?
Yeah, in that city, of course, yeah. Otherwise, like reviews you have to go through, and like you will be surrounded by your peers, right? So you will have more peers.
Oh, so more net connectivity to So there's a follow-up question to the previous question, like placement preparation.
Okay.
So now that you think of it, what change would have you done to the way you prepared for the placements?
Yeah, as I said, start gate level preparation, man. I didn't do that. Like I only realized the depth of these questions by the end of 4th year. So I tried to inform my friends or juniors, but you should. Like especially that 3rd semester, if you focus properly, it will be very helpful for you for electronics core branches. And for CS students, start a GitHub account here.
Yeah, important. Okay, I think that was our last question, and I think we have got it all covered and how you prepared and your whole life in MEC, maybe a little bit at least. So yeah, thank you so much, Ronald.
Yeah, thanks. Okay.
Thank you for such a wonderful session, Ronald. The pandemic had caused us to lose out on most of our finest MEC moments. We are glad that we got this opportunity to reminisce about the good old days with you, while also alleviating our concerns about the future. Your knowledge and suggestions have been reassuring to us. Thank you for a fantastic event. Wishing you all the best in your future endeavors as well. So guys, what a great way to explain his journey, right? Now let's put all his advice into use and create a unique future.
A modest remark can sometimes influence our career, and that is something we could all use. The final session for tonight is on career guidance, and we introduce to you Jacob Patara, a EEE graduate from the 2009 batch. He was the founder of the Entrepreneurship Club and performed miracles for the batch via the placement cell, demonstrating his skills even in college. He continued to display his abilities by working for Dell EMC before founding Weaved, which was later acquired by Paytm, one of the largest, involved in creating AVL, a community-driven monetization platform for open source projects. Looking forward to seeing much more wonderful things from you, Jacob, and a warm welcome back to MEC.
Thank you. You guys can hear me, right? Yeah, okay.
Hiya.
Thanks for inviting me here. It's good to be back. Yeah. And then thanks, Priya, for the intro. Couple of corrections. I was in the electronics and communications batch. When I was in college, MEC didn't have a EEE batch, but that's cool. And it's not AVL, it's AVL. It is the dish that we all hate or love. So yeah, that's about that. So I was listening to Ronit, and thanks to him, I don't think I have much to share right now. He's covered it pretty well. So I don't intend to basically run you through my journey or anything of that sort. I've been asked to speak about, to give a little bit of career guidance. And I think the only reason that I probably qualify for that is probably because I was part of the placement cell when I was in college. After that, it has been a roller coaster ride, a lot of ups and downs, and then where I am right now. So yeah, I think even before starting to give you guys a little bit of idea on what are some of the options. So in fact, I actually Googled the other day to understand, what are the career options, and I could find very interesting and very boring articles which would say, okay, these are the options that an engineering graduate could pursue in India, right? It would talk about anything from going for an MBA to going into a MNC to starting your own company. But I figure that's not what you're here to listen to, right? I think let's start from the basics. I think the most important piece when you're in college I think college is when, looking back like 12 years, I passed out in 2009. 12 years, I think college is probably the place which lets you be aware, right? To really understand what you really want in life. I mean, and then you will have plenty of pressure points coming from different places, right? You might have a girlfriend who is probably your same age, and you might want to, probably get married before she turns 25 or 26. And then you are in the pressure to land a good job, to convince your parents or convince your parents that you're ready to marry, right? Probably that's one scene. The other is possibly where you actually have a genuine financial pressure from home, and probably the family is expecting you to, land a good job with a decent salary, improve the quality of life. I think the most important bit over here would be, the confidence that you have when you're in college, right? Sometimes you don't just get to understand the complex subjects like Rajesh sir is here, DSP or stuff like that. It was tough for me actually, yeah. And probably like Ronit was saying, you'll probably have to figure out when it's time to make a decision. It might even be really late, right? You might think it is really late because maybe your grades aren't that great. Maybe you don't get to sit for a lot of the companies that are coming into campus. Anything and everything, right? So again, to the starting point, I think college is you get to hear what you want. Maybe 10 different things that you will have to figure, right? I need money. I need a good job. I need it to be glamorous. I maybe want to move to Bangalore. I don't think Bangalore is a really sexy place right now. Maybe you'd want to move to the valley and enjoy life, or maybe move to Germany or maybe wherever and drink amazing beer or whatever. So the key is being aware, really understand what you want. And really figure out probably what makes you happy in the longer run. This is the time when you have the bandwidth and the ability to kind of experiment with a lot of things. So make use of all of the forums that is in college. Probably that is how you should see the different things that you have in college right now. These are tiny internships, if you may, tiny experiments that you can run with yourself to understand where you probably fit in. And thanks to the culture that we have in MEC, a lot. I guess it's the same. At least when we were in college, it used to be predominantly student driven, right? Teachers would give us all the support that we would want, but then the students could make a lot of the decisions. We could basically run the show, right, in whatever capacity that we had to. And I guess that gives us a lot of exposure. It lets you understand what you are minted to do, right, in life. So some people figure out maybe I'm not really great in engineering, which is okay. You're in school, but maybe you figure out over the 4 years that you're not really great with engineering, and that's fine. Maybe you figure out, okay, I'm destined to be joining a bank, either after completing my MBA from an NCR or from a Stanford, or probably right after college, joining one of the Indian banks. Or maybe you figure out, okay, I'll have to do something of my own, and then I probably get to do a startup, and maybe fail miserably, learn a couple of good lessons, or probably succeed. So again, back to the original point, be aware, try and figure out at this point what you really want to do in life. And for that, make use of all of the forums that you have in college. And I think it might be really, really prudent on yourself and on the minimal amount of time that you have to make sure that you use the opportunity that you have, right? For me personally, I think placement cell was one very, very interesting piece. So the kind of exposure that gave us, right, was amazing. It was amazing that in your third year you could actually walk into you could go to Bangalore. You could fix appointments with HRs, the senior HRs of companies. In some cases, with the executive members of the company. I mean, companies like Apache, etc. At that point, my colleagues in the placement cell would actually present with the head of India operations, the head of India business, etc. So the kind of exposure, the kind of people that you get to interact with, it was amazing. I mean, I still remember the kind of glow that I had when I came back after our first company visit, and I was like, okay, I've met a lot of people. I'm really not the person that I was when I went to Bangalore for the company visits. I'm a lot more. So back to that exposure, right? And this is probably even after college, right? You have to figure out ways to land yourself in places where you can get a lot of exposure. And there are multiple forums, and I'm not just talking about college, even after college. Wherever you are, right? Try and network with a lot of people. People smarter than you, actually. It might actually turn out to be fun also. So go join, the local meetups. If you are passionate about something, there might be a club that's around. Maybe there might be a few people who might be around who are doing some things. Just try and experiment and see if things work out for you. So it will also help you boost your confidence. It will probably help you, pave a path onto which you think you might be interested to go. My journey has been quite a roller coaster ride. I got into the placement cell when I was in my third year. I think I landed a job in Wipro. That was the only company that I got. 2009 was the time when the industry wasn't doing great, and it took about 15 months after college for us to get joining dates, right? And at that time I landed a job in EMC, and I wasn't really happy with whatever I was doing at EMC. And along with a couple of other people, we decided, okay, let's start up something. And that journey goes back again to the fourth year, where we set up the entrepreneurship cell. And where did the entrepreneurship cell come from? There was this guy called, I think his name is Dorai Totla. I still follow him on LinkedIn. It's not really popular these days. So he came to college and he introduced us to a couple of TED Talks. There was the talk about this guy, I think his name is Mystery. He heads Samsung's business, and I think he has his own startup right now, where he would hang this this necklace kind of thing, which would help you, interact with physical world. So these things came up, and then internally we discussed, okay, why don't we set up a TEDx MEC branch? I think Feriak and Amil and all of those guys set up TEDx MEC the year after we left. 2010, Excel had a TEDx MEC event, the first TEDx MEC event, I guess. We actually, Samir, Sandeep Bhai, myself, and a couple of others, Bindu Miss was the placement coordinator at that point. She let us go to IIT Bombay to participate in their entrepreneurship cell event, which was a huge deal at that point. We had some amazing speakers, a lot of exposure. And we went there, we figured, okay, there are a lot of things that you could possibly do. The world that you see around you is not just, it's a very small world, right? There's a lot more that you can do. And it like I said, it all comes back to the kind of exposure that interact with, the kind of efforts and initiatives that you force yourselves into and get to do that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun. College is a time when you should have a lot of fun, but you should actually experiment with a lot of the things, that all of the opportunities that you might have, right? Yeah, and I think in 2013, I had a co-founder who was also an ex-MECian, Jovin, but he had to leave after a couple of months for some personal reasons, etc. We struggled, and looking back, I think it was really foolish and dumb of me to get into a startup at that point, because I didn't know what it was. Again, people had to go pitch to a lot of investors to learn that, okay, you're fundamentally doing something wrong, right? So then you had to go back to the drawing table, figure out, okay, what are you actually doing? Figure out, okay, this is how you pitch. This is how you build a product. This is how you design a product. This is how you build a team. And then you learn, you bring together people. And then after a couple of years, you decide, you master the game. I had to do it the very, very hard way. And luckily, we've been really, really lucky that, we got to interact with Vijay. and he loved the Vijay of Paytm. He loved the product, and he was like, okay, why don't you guys come on board? And then we joined Paytm, and we were there for about 18 months. And then we decided, okay, it's time to do something else. And I'm telling you, once you kind of figure out, okay, this is what you want to do, in some ways, you somehow end up doing this. Because, see, a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of us, a lot of my friends have actually broken free and stopped, actually literally stopped what they were about to do and have set out completely fresh. I know people in my batch who basically studied computer science and went into investigative journalism, and right now has a PhD from a Canadian university on the impact of coal, fossil fuels on the economy. I know people who have set up a lot of startups. I know people who are contractors who are basically running normal shops. I mean, so you just have to figure out what you want, and that's a path. You might not figure it out while you're in college. You figure out maybe after college, and it's a journey. Once you land up in something that you actually love, you keep doing it. And I think that is my very crude way of saying what you should be looking for when you're choosing your career. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's what I have to share today. A couple of other points that I'd love to share right now, and a couple of things that I wish I had done better. Irrespective of the branch that you are in, and I think Ronit also mentioned, learn Python. Okay, all of you, please learn Python. Even if you're going to even if you're going to join an electronics company, even if you're going to start a bakery of your own, even if you're going to join a bank, learn Python. That's going to definitely help you. Okay, that's one. And always be the second bit is, don't think that you have landed up somewhere and there's no way you can break out of it and get into something else. You can. You always can. It might be a little bit difficult, but you always can do that. Lastly, I'll go into the really boring stuff, which are probably some of the options that you have and some of the things that I'd like you guys to aspire to be, right? First, I don't know if you guys do that, but please don't compare ourselves, MECians with, I don't know if there are people outside of the MEC community over here, but please don't compare ourselves to any of the other colleges that you have in Kerala, right? Please aspire to compare yourselves with at least a BITS Pilani or BITS Goa or an IIT that's in India, from India. And you should aspire to, be better than those guys, not better than any other college in Kerala. That's not what is expected, at least. At least that's what I like to believe, right? That's one. Two, when you think about high studies, just because you've decided, and it's very trivial, right? So just because you are in an engineering branch, you're doing your engineering, you will be BTech, doesn't mean you will have to definitely go ahead on a continuous path, right? I mean, you can actually go ahead and learn something very, very different. That path is always open to you. And when you figure out, you're aware, when you have the right exposure, when you figure out what you really want to do, you can actually go ahead and go the path of higher studies. And even if you've landed up in a job that you don't like and it's paying you really well, I think it's a fair thing to do to yourself and to your future self. If you figure out, maybe take the risk and go study. It'll give you a lot of exposure and again aim high. When I was in EMC, and at that point I wanted to do an MBA, right? My aspiration was to get into an IIM, to do an MBA, right? And then my manager, I still remember my manager, his name was Chetan Sharma. He was like, "So Jacob, you shouldn't probably do an MBA from an IIM or ISB. Not that these colleges are bad. These colleges are really, really, really good. But when you're aspiring, aspire to do from an NCR." So I was like, "How the hell do you actually spell it out?" I tried spellings and then I went back to him and I said, "You actually spell it out as INSEAD." I didn't know in NCR at that point. But thanks to all of the things that happened around me, I couldn't even land up in one of the IIMs. But then So that was the funny part. But then, life moved on. You figure out what you want to do, and then you landed somewhere. I think I'm kind of done. I'm guessing you might have a couple of questions on. I'm hoping you might have a couple of questions on how to, do a startup, or what are some of the things that you need to look for, or maybe how to prepare when you what is it that companies are looking when they are trying to hire people and all of those things, right? But my advice, I don't know if it's qualified advice or whatever. It's basically be very well aware, travel a lot whenever you can, get a lot of exposure, put yourself in a group of really, really smart people, figure out things, be ready to make change if you think change is necessary, and take risks. And then, you don't want me to sit in a Zoom call and tell you, okay, these are the companies that's coming into your placement cell, through the placement cell to college, or things like that. You already know that. You guys are really smart. So all of those things are very, very trivial. That's basically me. I don't think I have anything more to add. I hope it makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jacob. And I think all the students will explore or experiment their paths, different paths, and try to learn more every day, I guess. And I think we shall take a small break, and we'll come back with the Q&A session.
Sure.
Okay, so welcome back. And the students had shared a few of their questions, and even before the session itself, like when they got to know about the career guidance session. So one of them is right now, shall we ask them? So one of them is, the majority of us take the same well-worn paths. What is your advice to those who want to pursue something different and challenging, especially to those who are uncertain about their future steps?
See, here's the thing. When you're in college, you're what? When you pass it, you're what, 21, 22? So if you don't take risk, nothing is going to happen to you, right? Nothing is going to happen to you. So you can always fall back. If somebody is telling you that, okay, you can't land up if you take let's say you want to do a startup, or you want to go figure out higher studies. If somebody is telling you that if you take a break and you can't come back to a well-cushioned life, they're lying. It might take another 6 months, another 12 months, but you're young. You don't have to figure out everything. I mean, maybe it will take like I said, 12 more months, but you will land up safe. So I would strongly urge you to take risks, right? And you can't do it later. Maybe when you're 29, 30, your risk appetite really, really reduces. And you don't want to, okay, here's the thing, do a favor to your future self, take the risk. If you strongly believe, and make sure you believe in what you want to do, take the risk, just plunge in. It will work out. And you'll just figure it out. That's all.
You said like the 2020 maybe like starting from college itself, every students can try a little bit of the what you said, like experiments.
I guess people are doing that already, right? I mean, if I'm not wrong, I think a lot of people are trying out their own initiatives when they're in college.
Yeah.
I think that there are initiatives like, there are a lot of management initiatives. I think Excel is doing that, EC is doing that. There are a lot of engineering initiatives. We have really well-equipped labs over here. You can do that. Higher studies, you can talk to xMECs. I think there are a lot of forums. You can read a lot. And you know, the internet is wide open. I mean, you can get anything and everything that you want. The worst experience to the best experience. But what is the maximum that can go wrong, right? You can always fall back. There's nothing that's gonna, I mean, it's going to be fine. That's what I strongly think. But if you don't, you know, take up that decision, and I think you might regret later. So I think you should definitely do that.
Yeah, that's really encouraging. We have another question here. We know that there is quite a good scope for computer and electronics engineers these days. Has the opportunities in the biomedical and electrical industries been raised because of the pandemic? How can the students make use of these fields in the current scenario?
So here's the thing. I'm not an expert in biomedical, but in general, as someone who tries to, you know, read a little bit, I think healthcare in essence has become really, really hot. There are a lot of initiatives that's coming up, a lot of very interesting companies, startups that are coming up. There is a lot of funding that's going on into the research bit. So I think obviously biomedical field, if you're placed right, might have really, really good opportunities in store for you. But then again, what I would urge the biomedical students to do is, see, higher studies is something that you should definitely explore. I don't think in general, and this applies to most branches in most companies that are in India, things are changing of course, but at least in biomedical, from that angle, I don't think there's a lot of very interesting work that is happening, very interesting in the sense cutting edge, innovative things that are happening yet in India. But I think across the world, in other countries, there's a lot of research opportunities. There's a lot of really good contributions, really interesting work that you can do. So maybe you should think, widen your horizon and think a little more bigger. And maybe to get there, it might be helpful for you to, you know, do some, you know, get some experience here in the Indian side of the world, so that you can land up wherever you want to on that domain. But I think it's definitely getting interesting because of this. And irrespective of the pandemic, also it's definitely poised to grow. So I think, yeah, it's tough, but you will if you want to.
Yeah. Also, can I ask you, like, for some tips, like how this current situation can be used on as an advantage for the students?
This is in the context of the branch or in general?
Hello.
Priya, I'm asking, is the question in the context of biomedical branch or in general?
I'm really sorry. I think that was not audible.
Wow. No, I think it's my internet. Sorry. What I'm trying to ask. Okay. So here's the thing. So what we've seen from the limited experience. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can. Even though it's breaking, but yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm saying is, see, the pandemic has changed a lot of things. It's changed the whole dynamic, right? I think when you're starting from when you're looking for a job, early on you had to, you know, be physically present somewhere. So, but right now the thing is, I think you guys can actually apply for a job in Moscow for that matter, or let's say directly apply for a job in Toronto or wherever. You can do that. I know a lot of folks. These are experienced folks, by the way. A lot of folks who are completely working remote, and it's sad from one perspective that the kind of money that people get to make right now, because the whole world is open to them, is crazy, right? You know, you actually get to be paid the way that an engineer in the US is actually getting paid. You can do that by sitting in, let's say, a village in Alapura. You can actually do that.
That is actually really a good opportunity.
No, it's just that and maybe internships can be really, really exciting. We had a couple of open internships, and we've been getting applicants from across the world. And if you look at places like AngelList, etc., where a lot of very interesting hiring takes place, a lot of the options says that it's remote only, right? And this means that anyone from anywhere in the world can actually apply. It's not like early on when you could only apply for internship jobs for more than 6 months, which is physically asking you to be present, and then you have to be in Cochin or in Bangalore because the college is not permitting. I don't know how it works right now, but because the college is not permitting you to. You can actually work full time, let's say 8 hours a day if you have the bandwidth. While you are in the final year of college, it's just that and there are very interesting companies who are not really looking at you graduating or not. Really have an engineering degree. So from a job perspective, I think the world is open right now, and options are really, really open. It's just that you have to stand out, and to stand out, you have to basically really, really tune your skills, be right there. Yeah. Nobody, like I said, I repeat, nobody cares if you have an engineering graduation. You have passed your BTech, or if you have an MS, or if you have a PhD. Actually, people just look if you are knowledgeable, if you can get things done. So if you can do that, and I think the community that is there in MEC has given you historically the opportunity to learn and be practically well versed in a lot of the things. Like Ronit was saying, invest a lot in yourself. Learn Python again, create GitHub accounts, do a lot of interesting projects, showcase your work, and get it done. People are no longer looking at your resume. People are actually looking at your GitHub accounts and the projects that you've done. So do that.
Yes, in that aspect, I think the whole world is open up to one person.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah. We have another question about the higher studies point that you mentioned. How important do you think higher studies is for career growth? And would you suggest that we do our masters at some point of our career, like even if it's later?
See, here's the thing. I don't have a master's. But yeah. But from some of my really, really close friends have done their masters, and what I've heard from them is obviously their career has taken a leap. It has really accelerated. It has been the catalyst. So I think that's really interesting, that aspect. And I think you get yourself exposed to, like I said, exposure, right? You get yourself exposed to a new way of learning, new people, new skills. See, college is not just about the academic part. It is probably 80% of that, but there's a lot more that you can acquire. So I think it's good to learn. If you have the option, and if you have a slight inclination to do your masters at some point in your life, definitely do that. It's definitely going to make a difference. But not all people can afford that, right? Because for whatever reason, where you are and what point in life you are and all that. But then again, if you have that inclination, I would still say just plunge in, take the risk. I think it will also pay off.
So, like further talking about higher studies, like would you suggest taking a person pursuing their higher studies in the country, India itself, or like going to Western countries for completing it? Which would be a more preferable option or open new doors for the students?
So that's a very, very subjective question, and the answer will be very, very biased, right, to whom you're asking. So depends on what you want.
Maybe on the aspect of
where it all starts. So if you want, like I said, get into a good institute. Don't compromise. Like I said a couple of minutes back, don't compare yourselves to what a person in another engineering school in Kerala would do. Think of the colleges that an IITian or a BITS planning student would go to do their masters. They go to the IIMs, they go to ISD if they want to do their management courses. They also go to Wharton or Stanford. They do that. They go to different universities in the world to pursue their higher studies, their masters or their PhDs. But they also go to Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. They go to the IITs. So it's a very subjective question, and I don't think I have an exact answer. Depends on what you really want to do. If there is a specific interest and specific inclination for best institute, create maybe I mean, this is very trivial. Create a list of the top 20 institutes in the world that's offering you what you really want, and then go where you can, where they also like, they should also like you, right, to get you in. So wherever you're getting the admission, but don't compromise. Don't try to compromise.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that answer. And we have another question here regarding your startup. It's a word that is very familiar to all of us. Could you explain the significance of the name?
.com was available, to be really honest. Avail.com was available. And see, our previous startup was called Weaved In. And every single meeting that we would go to, we were like, okay, the company's name is Weaved In. So then the guy would be like, okay, weaved what? So then it's like, okay, it's like LinkedIn, but instead of linked, it's weaved. So then we had a very tough time trying to explain what weaved in meant and all that. So this time we were like, okay, no, Saket, we are gonna pick a very, 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 very quirky word that most people can pronounce. And what we did was we sent out this to a lot of friends from different countries in different languages, and then we were like, okay, how do you pronounce this? Luckily, about 80% of the people were like, okay, AVL or AVL. So then we were like, okay, people can pronounce it right. And then we had to actually, anyways, this is going live. So, and then, see, the product that we're building is basically, actually a platform which would help, which is basically to partner with open source projects. And what we strongly believe is, any product that you look at, right, it has, I'm talking software, and I think it applies to any product. It's an amalgamation of a lot of the components. And in the real world, what happens is a lot of it is actually open source. So then we were like, okay, why don't we create the story? Since .com is available, people can spell it out. Why don't we create the story where, each vegetable is like a different component. The coconut gravy is, is binding it together, and, you have Aviel. And it's a good story. So we were like, we tried it out, it worked. And so we picked the name. So that's basically it.
Okay.
And there is a backstory. There is also a backstory, since you asked me.
Oh.
The end result of what we're trying to build is basically that in a lot of ways we kind of, and this is not me joking. In reality, we think we believe in a utopic world where we think people who are creating value should be paid accordingly. And this is how we're kind of, getting that done. And the story is like this. See, all of us, since all of the 5 founders of Aviel are from Kerala, we are all very well accustomed to Mahabali and Onam, right? And when you think utopia and when you understand what utopia is, the first thing is like, okay, Onam, right? And this also had that connection. It's a weird connection. It's not really one apples comparison or a proper connection. But Aviel, Onsadhya, Onam, Mahabali, Utopia, and we had that whole story weaved in. So and it worked.
Yeah. Speaking of startups, like this is the era of startups. They may not be safe as large as multinational corporations, but what are their advantages?
I think the question is more to do with the people who are associating themselves with startups, people who are trying to get a job in startups, or people who want to buy products from startups, and less to do with the people who are starting startups. See, the biggest advantage is basically when you are in a very small team, things really move fast. And I've had the pleasure and the experience of working with slightly big organizations, in really big organizations, and in startups. So I've had scenarios where some decisions which can be taken in an hour's time or in 30 minutes time would take, let's say, 7 days time when you are in a big organization, because you have to go through the whole thing, right? So so speed, you probably get to work with the latest and the most interesting things. Employees, is basically, I think startups are actually paying well right now. A lot of the, at least the funded ones are paying, I think, probably better than the MNCs. I think the reason is startups, the team are supposed to be really small. You can't have a 100-member team. You're not solving problem with putting in more people. You're solving in problems by getting smart people. So it's very, very important that you get the really, really good ones. And the really, really good ones, if you want the really, really good ones, and if you want them to stay, you'll have to pay really, really well. So it's only natural that startups, if they have the money, will pay you. And if they don't have the money, will give you ESOPs. So, yeah.
Hi, Jacob. The next question. Engineering is a rapidly expanding field. Every day, new technology and methods emerge. How can we adjust to this ongoing growth and learn from it?
Talk to more people. At least in MEC, I think get more xMECs who are actually doing engineering and to get to talk to you and host sessions so that the guys in college, when they're in college, and that is one of the advantages that we've had historically in MEC. Industry interaction has been good.
Yeah.
So do that. Get people to read and see, everything is available on the internet. I mean, if you are just curious, you can find whatever you're looking for. So try to cultivate that. So I think clubs in MEC, I think it's just clubs because we have to have that on paper. I think there's a lot of very interesting things that can actually be done. It can be really fun. It needn't be boring. It's just that how you conduct it, right? So I think if we, I think we already have the machinery in place. It's just that how do we tune it? How do we orchestrate it to make sure people have the right exposure? xMEC, reading, yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Next is a question that every student has in the back of their mind. Students are pressured to score above 9 CGPA nowadays. So how significant is CGPA for a job opportunity as well as higher studies?
So to be honest, okay, it's higher studies. I think definitely CGPA is very important.
Yeah.
It is important. It will make your chances of getting accepted to a good institute really, really fast, really easy, right? And I think in all aspects of life, I think having a decent CGPA is going to help you. So don't think that, okay, I can have a lower CGPA and I can get away with it. You might get away with it, but I think your chances of success are better if you can, have good marks. That is the sad state of the world. Let's accept it. From job opportunities perspective, I think from an employer, from a recruiter's perspective, hiring is a very difficult thing, right?
Yeah.
It's very painful. It involves a lot of resources. So
yeah.
At that point, CGPA is a filtering mechanism, and yes, that is one of the easiest mechanisms with which they can filter out people. That is why it's easy. That's why it's important from that perspective. I don't know if it still applies, but I think a lot of the smaller companies, but the startups or the smaller companies, they are in some ways lenient on the number of back papers or the CGPA, etc. That is because the interview process might also be slightly different. They might have a task, or what they're looking for might be very specific, and they might not actually, and they basically want to maximize the number of people who are applying as well. They don't want to miss out on people. But the bigger ones who are doing recruitment or hiring in a complete process driven by the book, they can't actually be lenient, but the smaller ones can. So the smaller ones are not doing because they're very cool or anything. It's just that they can actually afford to probably talk to more people. They want to maximize the number of people who are actually applying and all that. Yeah. So I think in general, having a good CGPA is definitely going to help.
Yeah. Next question. How do you approach figuring out what you want to do if you feel like you want to change your career?
I think the smart way to do it is take small leaps. I know I've been telling over this call itself that, just quit your job, go start a company or go for higher skills. No, don't do that. That will be kind of stupid. What you should ideally do is talk to people first. People who have been in your journey. And again, the community that we've had in MEC is quite good. You can actually reach out to people, ex-MECians. You can figure out, okay, people who've done this. There might be a lot of it's easy to find people, right? So talk to them. And even if, let's say, if it's higher studies is, I think, actually kind of risk-free, if you ask me. It's kind of a no-brainer. But if you're going for a complete radical change in your the kind of work that you want to do, like an electronics engineer wanting to get into design, I think take baby steps. Maybe do a little bit of freelancing, tune your skills, take up a little bit of work, and then see how you can actually get at par with the actual designers that's out there. Maybe you're skilled, but then there's a lot that you need to learn, which you can learn from experience, right? So start small, and then when it is there, when you think you are there, take the step. If you're looking at doing a startup, maybe spend, let's say, a couple of hours building it daily. Try to find a team and work together and try figuring out, certain pieces. And then, once you see that, okay, it might work out, when you have the confidence, just move on. So, don't just jump in. That would be foolish. So,
take baby steps.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the last question. We had quite a few interesting ones in there. Surely many of us have had these same confusions, and thank you for the questions, everyone. Thank you, Jacob, for reinforcing that it's not what you achieve, it's what you overcome that defines career, and for introducing the students to the diverse range of career opportunities available today. It was a pleasure to interact with you and to learn from you. Hoping to interact with you again. Thank you and best wishes. Now that we have come to an end of this lively gathering, we would like to wind up with a few words of warmth to all of you who made this occasion fruitful.
On behalf of the Placement Cell and BMA, we take this opportunity to propose a word of thanks to all those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this event. Each of us have instances in our lives when we doubt ourselves or are unsure about our future plans. We want to express our gratitude to all of the speakers who have helped us fill this void by sharing their knowledge and presence. We are confident that your experiences and suggestions would be extremely beneficial to the students.
Also, a special thanks to Mr. Vinay, Principal, TPO, BMA in charge, BMA members, and all the other faculties who had joined the session. Our alumni have always been our inspiration to do everything good. Thanks to all the PC members of the 2022 batch for their unwavering support, and our sincere gratitude to each member of PC 2K21 for organizing such a memorable event. A special mention to Agil Abraham, Farish Rahman, Alfred Vergus Jose, Albin Kottaram, Dibin Xavier, Naveen N, Bobby Sebastian Tarappe, Ashwant N, Ashwin Prashant, Joel Matthew Jose, Abhishek Eskurup, Al Amin, Saurav Sajesh, and the entire organizing and management committee to whom we owe this success. Finally, every event strength is its attendees. All of our audience deserve a special recognition for their enthusiastic participation. As Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. How we live is what makes us real. So recognize your crossroads, be dedicated, and work hard. Thank you and all the best.